Okay, I think it's going to record for me. We're going to share a window here, Amanda. All right, so again, for those that don't know me, and maybe I should have probably started with that, is I'm Amanda. I've led this effort for some time now. So if you have any questions, I've been the one that's emailed. I've been a part of CyberForce since the very beginning in 2016. So typically, for the most part, if there's something that has gone awry or a final decision has been made, it's largely coming from me. So if you don't like it, I apologize, but I just got to keep everything fair. So with that, here is the overview, rules, and scoring. This was fully pulled out from the GitHub. So I'm right now not sharing a full screen, but if you want to follow along, you can from the GitHub, but otherwise everything here is on the screen. So every year it's different colors. So if you're pulling a different color, you're not seeing this one, then you're in the wrong year. So it's slightly different for those of you that have been participating year over year. We did try to remove some common language that's been used over and over and over again, or redundant language. So very quickly, you can click on any of these to get to where you would like to go. But to start, for those of you that's your first year, so I apologize for those of you who this might be your like fourth or fifth year playing, but just to start, for those of you that it's your very first year, we use a lot of colors, very similar to a lot of the other competitions, but for purposes of CyberForce, you are the blue team. So when we talk about this document and you say, what's my color, or what are we talking about? You are the blue team, which is the defender. Everything else in this document, even though the score may color coordinate with something else, it is your responsibility to do everything in this document. It's just we color coordinate how those points are correlated back to something. So when I put that out there, because we've had that issue in the past, people say, well, that was the white team's responsibility, or red team was supposed to do that, or someone else. Everything in this document is for you to do at the end of the day. I will re-emphasize that you should read this. I do understand 16 pages does feel like a beast, but a lot of it is bullet points this year. I get it. I don't want to read long pages. So we really tried to make it to the point. And obviously you're here, so I'll read it for you for the most part. So again, coming in person, you'll get 6 Ethernet cables to connect to the internet. I just want to bring that up front. So it's your responsibility to bring whatever appropriate dongle or connector for your machine if you choose to use the wired internet, which I heavily suggest. There is wireless connections still available, but again, as those who have participated in the past know, wireless is never the same as getting a wired piece of internet. So keep that in the back of your brains while you're thinking about packing over the next 2 weeks. What can you bring for yourself for the Ethernet cable? All right, going along the way. So I just want to make sure I slightly keep open my chat here at the same time. Also, if you have questions along the way, throw it in the chat myself or Steph Jenkins hopefully can help answer along the way. Key dates. So some of them have already bypassed us, but you had the C-suite scenario and you logged into the controller, hopefully. And so that means Discord, scoreboard, and all. And now you'll have your AWS credentials. You'll have your infrastructure and all of that through there. Your C-suite Fireside chat was last week, and your video was due this morning. If you didn't turn it in, you still have the time to do late submission by Friday this week. Which I will say, we had a record number of people turn it in. There was 89 of 96 teams. So kudos to you all for turning it in. Again, I want to state like C-suite and security documentation, a lot of people don't take it seriously because it is pre-competition, but those have put teams into placement spots. So don't not do them just because you don't have time or because you don't think they're imperative. So today you got access to the rules, what you see here, not there, and also you'll provide access to your AWS infrastructure. Today's rules. Tomorrow is security documentation. So I'm not going to go over the template. I'm not going to go over what needs to be in security documentation. That's all tomorrow. So if you want to attend that, you're welcome to do that. Friday is the late submission for C-suite panel. Monday, November 10th is when your security documentation is due. The same time as what C-suite was. And then late submission for security documentation is Wednesday, November 12th. So notice that that's a shorter time window for late than it was for the video. And then I will see all of your faces hopefully on Friday, November 14th at the Tinley Park Convention Center, not the Q Center, for you all to check in. We have extended support hours, both in person. And then you also have to do a red team and blue team mandatory check-in. That's virtual on Discord. That's just to make sure that your red-blue bridge is set up correctly and that you can communicate with your red team member. So don't think that's like a come in and shake a hand or something like that, but you do need to make sure that someone's there, that red's checked in with you, and that you are also actively communicating. And then Saturday's competition day. All right, let's get to it. Scenario, not going to read it, but this year it's all based on oil. All right, competition flow. As I stated, there's a red, blue, green, white, and orange. White being the lab staff, orange playing the role of the C-suite for both security documentation and the C-suite video. Green being your users and operators. So think again, I like to compare them to your mom, your dad, your grandma, people that maybe don't always have the most computer savvy skills. And so those are the people you need to think about what are using your website for the green team. Red are going to be your hackers, either attempting to breach into your network or, as you'll see later on, we already have assumed breach. And then you all are the blue team. So you guys got already in the setup phase, so we're going to pass this. An attack phase comes Saturday, November 15th. So anything prior to that, you guys have the system from today all the way up to and through November 15th. So number one, you should not just be staring at your systems and doing nothing. You need to be doing security documentation. You should be hardening the systems based on the rules. And then you should also be ensuring that you're, building whatever needs to be built. So getting started, again, if you have not been a part of the controller yet, which means Discord, which means you also probably haven't gotten your AWS stuff, please do that. We have a couple teams that have no one in Discord yet. Which is going to be a hard time come competition day. So please make sure you do that. That's where you're going to get everything for the days that you need. Naming conventions, we'll skip all this. Help desk, because many of you have already put tickets in, but we'll go over it really fast. Please do your best and be cognizant of the ticket type that you do put in. Do not submit multiple tickets for this same issue. So if you put in a rules ticket, a controller ticket, and an AWS ticket, all for the same thing, I guarantee you that we're going to close all three of them. I guarantee you. We get enough tickets on a daily basis to answer that sometimes could have been very well if you had taken 2 seconds, breathed, read the rules document, or read anything in the announcements, documentation channels, or even something that was already answered in any of the many channels. If you did a quick little Google search in Discord, that would have solved all your problems rather than putting in several tickets. So we're happy to help, but we also are human beings. So we're only around for so many hours of the day. And prior to the competition, you should not expect help outside of the hours of 8 to 5 p.m. Central Time. If you do get help outside those hours, you should feel blessed. Sometimes you'll see things from myself way early in the morning or very late, but that's only because I'm a workaholic and probably should stop doing that. But otherwise, any other ticket types will be submitted. So you don't see anomalies right now. Those only will open up literally the day before the competition. But otherwise, please try to put the ticket type in that is closest to what your issue is. So if there's something related to the scoreboard, put it in controller or the scoreboard ticket problem. If there's something in regards to AWS, put it in AWS. If it's actually a rules question, you're like, but it's also about AWS, choose the one that makes most sense when you really think about your question. Email, again, everyone's gotten emails from CyberForce competition@anl.gov. That's me, Steph, and one of my other colleagues. Please only email that really for logistical issues. So again, if you can't get into the controller, if there's something really a problem, again, this email is only monitored during normal business hours and it will not be monitored come the week prior to CyberForce at all. So we'll be at the Tinley Park Convention Center, so we won't be actively monitoring this until like late in the hours of the evening. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Competition environment. You guys are all inheriting a /27 AWS environment. Any changes that you make to this need to be clearly documented in your security documentation. So Again, anything you make at all. So think about what you get, make sure you document that, and then on top of it, document anything that you do. If you're having troubles logging into your AWS environment, make sure you're using the community versions of our Open VPN community. Those are what we have actually tested against it. If you try others and it works, great. But if you're not, please make sure you're utilizing what we have on the screen here. All right, we've already gone through AWS and scoreboard credentials. A few quick things on that. There are limits placed on snapshots reverts to 2 reverts per VM per hour. So if you revert right now at 6:13 p.m. Central Time and you revert again in another 20 minutes, you're kind of stuck on that for the rest of the hour, and you can't revert again for another hour after that. Same goes with if you need a password reset, there's a cooldown every 15 minutes. So just take that into consideration. If you're a person that constantly forgets their password, please make sure you copy and paste it somewhere if you're seriously that bad at saving your password somewhere. Also, as we said, copy the password that's given to you somewhere, because sometimes our spaces, it's just something that AWS really loves, is the additive spaces in their password generation. Scored services can be tested the week before the competition. We'll let you guys all know when we put a test competition up, so you can just double check that your services are working. And services should all be connected come Friday, November 14th, to ensure that it's all up there and accurate. It's your responsibility to input your C-suite submissions, security documentation submissions into the scoreboard. If you need to restore any of your systems to their initial state, so if you completely mess up one of the VMs and it's beyond repair and you did not take a snapshot, and or your snapshot is also beyond repair, you can re-image it back to its initial launch state, but it does immediately cost your team 150 points per VM restoration. And again, that also has limits to the amount of times that you can reuse that. Okay. Key rules, the fun stuff. So there's no offensive actions for blue team participants. You are not allowed to go against other blue team members, the red team, the green team, scoreboard, the network infrastructure, hosting, venue, anything. Anything that we see that is actually going against that, your team is disqualified, and you personally, if we find out who it is, will not be asked to come back ever again. So let's not make that a problem. Team number usage. This seems to have been such a big issue so far this year. So let's reiterate. There is an Excel document in GitHub and in Discord. You want to look for your team number. So if my team number is team 60, and anywhere that you're going to see blue team XXXX or team number is referenced, my team number now is going to be 0060. I tried to make it super clear now in the GitHub Excel document, and I made that team number for you. Please do not utilize your registration team ID number as your team number. That is no longer anything that has to do with this competition anymore. That was a registration ID. You all have a team number. Team numbers are very different moving forward. Your AWS access is now, as of today, administrative accounts on those are managed by us at the white team at Argonne and will only be used for scoring and rule enforcement. Any communications that you have with us are confidential, so if you have any concerns about anything, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. And then any sort of updated on the rules will be on GitHub, and Discord will make announcements for you in regards to it. But it is your responsibility for staying informed of the updates. We're not going to constantly send out emails to tell people that, hey, there's an update to something. All right. Allowed actions. You should secure your existing required services on the provided traditional VMs. So hopefully you've read through some of this, and we'll go through it more. There's traditional VMs and there's an assumed breach VMs. So in short, assumed breach VMs are all of your ICS ones, and traditional VMs are the rest. So you should secure your existing services on the traditional VMs on their standard ports throughout the entire competition. You can harden and modify any aspect of the traditional infrastructure unless otherwise called out, which is your database, your Active Directory, the task box in the web server. You can move and configure any non-required services, and you should only use free or open source software. Free trial's okay if a credit card's not required and support from our staff is not required. So if you ping us to say, hey, I need help installing XYZ, no go. If you have to put a credit card in, no go. Again, most of the stuff that you can use is in there. Otherwise, if you're going to ping us to say like, hey, can you put this for us to allow it? That's a no-go. Additionally, no inherent AWS security software that you find in the system is allowed. This meant to be like thinking outside of the box. You should create EC2 VM snapshots. You should be deploying innovative defense strategies within the constraints. And you do need to sign up for the mandatory check-ins. And help desk tickets are there to support before and after competition. And no assistance in person other than networking issues will be provided on the day of the competition. And also, tickets are not there to verify or provide step-by-step actions for your infrastructure. So make sure you learn through the rules, guidelines, and I'm going to tell you for future reference, for those of you who are not quite there yet into the real world, Google and however you want to look at it are your friends. So make sure you do some research before you put a ticket in to just double check that, again, not answered, that you've at least come to the table with, this is what I've done. Because we're going to ask, because we're not here to hand you the answers for what we're doing here. Prohibited actions, no additional VMs. The environment is limited to 6 VMs. You're not even allowed to make a new VM, so it's not really worth you trying. You can't delete the provided VMs. If needed, you can restore from a snapshot. You cannot modify either score 1 or score 2 on the traditional infrastructure. So whatever they come with, you must keep them. Use extreme caution before modifying any of the assumed breach VMs. So I do know that we did ask you guys or let you know that there was software that's missing from one of them. You can install it, but any changes that disrupts the scoring or red team engagement can cost your team red team points. So while monitoring tools may be installed, teams do so at their own risk. Modifications that impact VM resources or usability may cost your team points at the end of the day. You cannot block any ports on either the assumed breach VMs or traditional VMs, so basically no blocking ports at all. No branding, your website, documentation, or video with any university information. You no longer are University of whatever or small town university. You are a company now, so we provided you the logos as such, and make sure you utilize what we've provided. No IP or machine name changes to the provided machines. You must, if you're going to use a snapshot, make sure you rename it to exactly what it was before. Again, no offensive actions towards anyone or anything, and no AI tools like ChatGPT or the like for anomaly resolution or infrastructure defense. All right, fun stuff. All right, requirements. Here below is the services that are required along with the boxes that they need to be on. So I'm not going to run through these, but this is all there for you. So just ensure that those ports are what they're on, that service is what they're on. If you, for some reason, have already changed that, make sure you revert it back to that one. So to answer questions, can I make HTTP, HTTPS? No. It has to be on port 80 and it has to be HTTP. Can I make any of these other ones secure version? No, it has to be what these are on these ports, on this box. All right, scoring breakdowns. Red is 2,500, blue is 2,000, green is 1,500, orange is 2,500, anomaly scoring is 1,500, which is a different breakdown than in years past. So red. 1,000 points is going to go to assumed breach. Teams are going to investigate and report attacks on assumed breach VMs. So if you participated in the past, it will be similar to years past. Red team will actively communicate with you as a blue team member on the day of the competition and provide you different scenarios in which they'll ask you to investigate on your assumed breach machines, either particular attacks that have already occurred, particular things that they've noticed, and they want you to either fix, find, replicate or whatever, something in the attack chain for them, and then you'll have to provide an artifact back to them in order to actually receive your points. So that's how assumed breach works. And then external pen testing will have automated scans and pen testing sessions going throughout the day, which is why your traditional infrastructure is very imperative that you actually harden that. And then Friday, again, I'm going to reiterate over and over again because there's always teams that forget and I have to ping, is you have a 15-minute, it never takes 15 minutes, but just to make sure, check-ins. They start at 11 and they end by about 7:45 is the last time slot available. They don't have to be, you don't have to be in Tinley Park. So if you're still in Tennessee at 11 a.m. And you want to take that spot, you're more than welcome to take the 11 spot. Blue team scoring, so that's 2,000 points. It will take into account your service uptime and your oil rig production progress throughout the day. Points are awarded for successfully maintaining the required operational services that we just saw above on their mandatory ports. Sorry, I didn't see someone. Are we allowed to remove was that agent from the assumed breach machines to install our own logging solution? So Maxwell, to answer your question again, as this stated above, you can do what you'd like at your own risk, but it could cost your team points. I can't answer like whether or not you would like to remove that agent or not, but Ian, you asked, will you guys be opening up the ability to test services for competition day? Yes, as I stated earlier, we will open it up the week prior to the competition and we'll notify you when. All right, so green team scoring. So teams must utilize the website provided for their green team scoring. So that should be a hint in and of itself. So there's a website and you must use it. Teams should review the green team survey rubric and ensure the website outlines their requirements. Your team must, to the best of your ability, complete the website so that each of the questions below would be answered in the true statement. Green users are provided the golden copy images to validate your website again. So if you know what that means, it means I've provided green team users. So thank again, my mom, my dad, my grandma. Literally this is what a perfect website would look like if all of this, if they got this in the right versions. And so they validate your website against my golden copy. Utilize only the images that we've provided and do not rename the images. The website that Green Team will be testing must be found on the web server VM. Green Team will be scoring throughout the day on Friday. Not Friday, sorry, Saturday. Wow. Take a sip of some Diet Coke here. Okay. Orange team scoring. So orange team is broken up into two different areas. That's the C-suite panel and security documentation. So you guys already went through C-suite, so we're not going to like cover this in blank, but 1250 is for C-suite and 1250 will be for security documentation. So again, you had to turn in a video for C-suite as this morning. If you didn't, for whatever reason, you still can turn it into Friday and you'll receive a 25% score deduction. Again, I always look at late is better than never because you never know what your points could get you. Please make sure your videos are accessible all the way up to and through November 17th, which I know is beyond the competition date, but it just allows us to make sure that, you know, we have the ability to take a look at it. Security documentation, again, we'll go over much more in depth tomorrow, but just high level. You need to use the template that we've provided. Do not make your own. Do not ad-lib it. It has to be in the template that we provide. Do not, under any circumstances, use your university name, personal details, or any other identifying information. Only the team number that we've provided you. Again, the Excel sheet will provide that for you. Again, if you're uncertain what needs to happen for that, then make sure you filter your Excel sheet by whatever that is, your university or whatnot, and you can figure out what you have. You can refer to the network diagram examples for guidance. And I apologize, my dog's barking in the back. And then you can submit a PDF in there by Monday, November 10th. All right. We'll go through all that tomorrow. And then finally, anomaly scoring will be 1,500 points. Similar to last year, we will have them on USBs available on Friday, November 14th. So once you check in, we'll roam around at tables, ensuring that everyone signs, your life away. Make sure that you understand the rules of the competition, as well as we'll provide USBs for people to copy over, whether you're a Linux, Unix user, or a Windows user. They're password protected, so if you can attempt to do it early, you're going to get a penalty. But for Windows users, you're going to need a 7-zip or WinRAR to unzip the folder. And Linux and Unix, you'll be using the GPG command. So take that into consideration, again, as well, if your computer doesn't like USBs, what you might need for that, or if you have a designated person who is going to be looking at anomalies for the day. Below is a suggested list of softwares for the anomalies. Again, entirely up to you on how you want to handle that. If you want to have them already available, but we're trying to help you so that if you do want something preloaded for you, you're more than welcome to have it. Penalties. So these penalties are assessed if you do not abide by the rules and guidelines, and teams will be aware of it when they do happen. So as I mentioned already, VMs, if you're re-imaging a VM outside of the snapshot restoration, it's 150 points per reinstall per box. If you're a chronic password person that needs the resets of passwords outside of like a normal password reset, so if you ask us to help you more than twice, it's going to start to be 50 points per request. That means we don't know how to copy and paste our passwords anymore. DMing admins or staff in Discord is 10 points for each violation per person. That's why we have a ticket system, and text channels are available for any questions or issues you may encounter. So because you're not getting what you want, sending a message directly to me or directly to one of my staff is not the way to go about it. If you have a bigger issue, again, you can send an email. But don't go DMing people just to try to get an answer or to let people know that you're mad or upset or whatever the case is. Send an email to the CyberForce email address. Otherwise, wait for the ticket to be answered. I promise everything gets answered in due time. Failure to comply with the VM naming guide during the competition will be 150 points per misnamed VM. Trust me, it doesn't help you to not have things named correctly. Attempting to manipulate anything like the bots, channels, and Discord and/or the scoreboard will be disqualification, and any offensive actions will also be disqualification. Okay, before I jump to the rubrics, when is the website due? So the website is due by Saturday when the competition is. Jacob, so obviously AI tools are not allowed, but are we able to use scripts that are partially created with AI that are publicly posted on Stackville? A lot of scripts are done with AI, so I'm wondering if all publicly posted scripts would be banned. Thanks. So again, anything that you use for AI should be entirely homegrown, and we will ask you to prove that. So using something like ChatGPT to make you a script is not something that will be beneficial for you at the end of the day. As much as I know everyone loves AI, and everyone wants to say every company loves AI, which I know some people and some companies do, part of this is to really think outside the box and not have any of the AI scripts and bots out there determining what should be thought of outside of the box. So again, for Richard, it's the same thing. So you'd have to prove that your LLM is made from, not just because it's on a local machine, but it has to be homegrown. So you will have to prove that it's something that you made and not just something that you brought to the table with ChatGPT or whatever your favorite AI is. Okay, so let's jump to the rubrics real fast. So I'm gonna jump to security documentation. Actually, I'm gonna bypass that because you'll hear it tomorrow. We already looked over this the other day. So finally, here's the green team survey where what people are going to ask, like, what do I have on the website? So number one, ensure the site loads. So if you click on this, so the whole point of this is if you go through this, everything should be marked true. If they mark it true, you'll get 100% for each person that scores your system. If they go in here and this ensure site loads and they can't get to web.blue0060.cfc.local, it's false, and the rest of these will be false, which means you get 0 points for that person that grades. They start running through this and they see that site color is blue and not maroon or burgundy, slash whatever color you want to call it. They're going to mark false, and then you'll start losing points based on whatever you have there. So I highly encourage you to go through your website and see what needs to be altered, changed in there, and check your entire infrastructure for anything that you may need. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing that. To Matthew Kelly, I sent in a ticket during the session. Will people be able to get to it after the fireside chat? I mean, sure. Yes, we will. I think. All right. A few more things, and then I will let you all ask questions publicly if you'd like. All right, so if you have not looked yet, this is what our GitHub looks like. This is where everything's at, and this will be where everything is up to date. So as we mentioned in the C-suite video, this is the 101 library. Instead of me downloading every 101 library, I put it in here. It links back up, and you can literally download any one that you want to download. AWS has all of your AWS infrastructure documentation. Again, highly encourage you to actually read these PDFs and not just jump right in, because as much as sometimes you might go like, well, that's the same information. If you ping and put a ticket in about AWS and they can literally copy and paste something that's in here, it's not going to make them very happy. I can tell you that right now. And it's also going to be really annoying that we spent weeks putting together all of this stuff that you just didn't want to take 2 seconds to read through to double check that an answer wasn't in there for you. The C-suite includes this scenario that you guys already did, but in the event that you wanted to go back to it, ICS is in here, and as you can see, 3 hours ago it was updated with that updated link for the designer, I think it was. Either way, the announcement that was made. So it's up there, and it's going to take me 12 years to probably upload it to the exact page, but this is how it works. Make you all a little bit nauseous here tonight. Right here, Perspective Engineering Workstation, highlighted as yellow can be, and that's where the slight changes for that. All right, logistics, again, if you're confused on anything, there's agendas in there. The map of Tinley Park Convention Center. Rules is where what we were just looking at, my favorite thing in the entire world, is in there. The security documentation template, website needs, hint, things that you might need are in there, as well as a whole README. So I would make sure you read me. And then these are the numbers, team numbers for you all to look at in the event that you still are uncertain that the team number that you're on or what team number you are if you're not in Discord yet. So those are there. So now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to so Michael asks, in the rules, it states, sorry, We're not allowed to block ports on assumed breach and traditional infrastructure. Does this mean we aren't allowed to use a host-based firewall to whitelist only required scored cert ports? I'm pretty confident that you can probably answer that yourself as you just tried to reverse what it is. If you can't block, you can't approve. That's the same thing as blocking, just the opposite. Same, but a little different. If you blacklist your red teamer, you're not going to be able to get access to anything from them. So I'm not certain that that will be beneficial for you to lose all of your red team points. Do we make the snapshots in controller CyberForce competition.com? Yes. So you're going to make your snapshots all through all in the controller. So this year everything will be combined in the controller minus making your red blue check-in. So if you go to the controller.cyberforcecompetition.com, you'll be able to join Discord, get your AWS infrastructure, make snapshots. If you do need to reimage, but that one does cost you points, you're able to do that. So you're more than welcome to take any of those and actively do that now if you'd like. Are we allowed to use any external items like mouse, keyboard, external monitors, etc.? I'm guessing you're asking if you can bring those. You're more than welcome to bring anything that you'd like to Tinley Park. Just know that you are only allowed, and I'm blanking on the total number, but so you only have one table. You don't get additive space. Doesn't matter if every person wants to bring a monitor and their laptop or a computer or whatever. But typically every person maybe gets two plugs and their connectors. So just be mindful of that you're not hoarding everything for yourself. So in thinking about that, again, power strips are provided by Tinley Park for you. Internet's provided, the Ethernet's provided to you. You just have to bring the dongles, your own power strips and everything like that. And your computers, obviously. But otherwise, if you want to bring monitors, keyboards, mice, whatever, you're more than welcome to do that. Where do we get the information on which machines are the ones we're allowed to harden and the ones we aren't? And where is information on the login credentials? So if you go into the GitHub, if you go into AWS, it provides you which machines are on the traditional and which ones are on the assumed breach, as well as in the rules documentation. It also quickly lists the assumed breach VMs as well as the traditional. But the login information is all within the AWS document. Is port-based firewalling completely banned under no blocking ports, including the built-in Windows firewall? Seems a bit harsh. Again, some of these rules may seem a bit harsh, but from where we stand, my understanding, yes. Whitelisting, blacklisting are just the opposite sides of a coin. So, you may lose points, you may gain points, but at the end of the day, you're not abiding by the rule. Okay, let me see here. We are supposed to get red team points. So if you do, you lose all of them. I'm not certain what you mean. So you may have to let me know. But so the point being, oh, okay. So are power strips provided, or did you say we needed to bring one? I got a little confused. Sorry. No, power strips are provided. You just need to bring the power cord for your computers or whatever you're needing. Well, updating any of the VMs break scoring. You'll have to answer that one based on the rules of what we just ran through. Some you will be able to, and some are at the risk of you doing that. Maybe it's so funny, but my entire team is sharing one AWS login, or will they get their own Blue user account? Hi, Angel. They should be logging into the controller themselves, and they should be logging in with their own. So, not a silly question, but that's a bit sad. The rest of your team should be logging in on themselves. So, that's how I feel. I'm going to give you a little bit of a scary face. Hi, do you think you could convince my manager to let me take off all of tomorrow to do CyberForce? I don't know if I have it in me anymore to convince anyone, but we can sure try. Well, yes, AWS is free. They won't get access into our environment. So, to your point, Angel, they need to log into the controller under their EDU. So I think, again, we've had a lot of people not log in correctly or try to register correctly. So again, as I stated in our first email, you have to register with your .edu. So if you try to register on the controller as the gmail.com, we're kind of ignoring you because you're not following directions. Number two, if you can't register with your EDU for some reason, then you need to email and provide us the reason why. There is reasons why we're asking you to do your EDU, because we have things set up so that it is purposefully approving you in certain ways. We understand that sometimes the one-time password or whatever doesn't always work with every school, but we can work around that. So to your point, Angel, have them sign up, because no, you should not be having an entire team sharing your AWS login. They also need to be in Discord and everything else. You can try to build Obsidian Rift to comp your dinners, but to that point. You said that we're not allowed to block ports. Are we allowed to close ports? Running on them. I think, again, as long as you're not blocking them, you can read the line. Anomaly challenges, they are completed on both competition days. First time competitor here. Anomaly challenges will only be on Saturday. So they will be released at the start, or the password will be released at the start of the competition, and then you'll have all day to complete as many as that you'd like. You can literally do none if you want to, but they're meant to be kind of additive things. And this year, again, we've changed up how we are doing anomalies. So anomalies will be based on the amount of time that it takes to complete. So if it's a hard one, it's meant to either require more than one person to complete, plus take roughly an hour plus to complete. Medium, it's about 30 to 45 minutes to complete, and easy is a little bit less than that. Okay, so regarding these AI, what did you mean by homegrown? Like ones we trained ourselves completely, or ones that were just running locally? And what about ones we already took a base and added our own training to it? Parker Haraldson, I think maybe you're best to maybe send a ticket in, because at this point, I think we're probably gonna split hairs on this AI concept. So Does the whole team need to be in Discord? Is it acceptable to have 5 to 6? I mean, that's entirely your call, Zane. I think it's typically easier when the whole team's in there because at the end of the day, you know, if that 6th person needs help, it's going to be a lot more difficult to have them not be in there. But we can't force everyone to join if they don't want to be a part of Discord fun. So we don't mandate people to be in there, but if they need help on competition day, we only support Discord tickets. So. All right, so then let me quickly jump to a few quick updates for, well, you guys all think of any other random questions. As I could tell, a few people have dropped. And I got to figure out where I put it, the agenda for the day. So I want to quickly make note, because I know some people have pinged me about the competition in regards to the government shutdown. So first off, thank you for being mindful of it. I do greatly appreciate it. But just so everyone is aware, I have done many a due diligence at this point. And at this point, the CyberForce competition is 100% good to go. I've gotten every possible blessing to keep the competition going and afloat for us for this year, even during the government shutdown. So we will be moving forward, even if the government is still closed as of November 14th, we're good to go. So with that, if anyone was still holding off to see if I was going to send some email over the next 2 weeks to say, you know, oh, we're not having CyberForce, I just want to reinforce that we will be going on. The show will go on. CyberForce will continue. So 14th and 15th, we will see you at Tinley Park. So for those that have never been to CyberForce before, this year, again, new place. So hopefully it'll be a little bit of change of pace. So I do know some people who've been to Q Center are a little upset over it, so I apologize. But Friday, if you come on Thursday, great. Hang out in Tinley Park for a little bit. But if not, then you're more than welcome to, if you show up on Friday, the competition space itself opens at 11. That's when you can check in at the front. You'll get your t-shirt, you'll get your badge. You can go find your area or your table in the convention center space. And you can do, you can either finish up whatever you need to do, whether it's your red, blue check-in. We'll have Conquer the Hill Halloween Rain Edition, a slightly modified version from last year. We'll have a scavenger hunt on Tinley Park grounds there, not at the mental health hospital, before someone asks. We'll have some sponsor informational booths. And then we'll also have the Anomaly USB checkouts for people if you have it. There'll be an afternoon snack break and dinner provided if you're there at those times. And then the competition space closes at 8. So if you arrive after 8 p.m., we'll check you in the morning on Saturday. Saturday morning, if you'd like, you can get up at 7 a.m. and have breakfast. If not, you're more than welcome to go wherever you'd like for breakfast. If you want to go out, there's a Cracker Barrel, I think, right across the street, or Kitty Corner, if people know what Kitty Corner means. But there's places all around. The space opens, which is kind of hard for me to say that because it's all really one big space, but at 8, we'll check people in again. Opening remarks will be at 9:30-ish. Right now, my opening remarks really will end up being this space, with maybe like one other person. But then the competition will start at 10 a.m. Box lunches, which you've all pre-selected, will be at 12 p.m. And then competition ends at 6. We'll have dinner around 6:30, and we'll do awards right around 7:30. Along with, we'll have raffle tickets. So raffle tickets you get, as it's been mentioned, if you do the cyber selfie. So send a selfie of yourself, your team, doing something pre-competition while you're at the space, send it in, we vote. For doing that, the scavenger hunt, participate in that. You get tickets for doing that. And then trivia challenges are also in the controller for you, I believe, as well as if you participate in rain up here, you also get a raffle ticket for that. Everyone just gets a raffle ticket for coming. So if you're a student, you get a raffle ticket for coming. But if you want more chances to win, be sure to participate in our fun stuff that we have going on so that you get more for the ability to win something. So with that, is there any other questions that I can answer on the rules this year or logistics for the competition days? Minus everyone's very big need of saying 6, 7. Alrighty, well then I will, sorry, are we allowed to take snapshots from within the AC2 dashboard or are we limited to the CyberForce? You can only do snapshots within the controller. If you have other questions before the competition, you're more than welcome to make a ticket. Or if it's a logistical question, you can always email. Again, from my understanding, we are not allowing to do any blocking of ports. So that is the rule. It's black and white as can be. That also means blacklist, whitelist, however you want to read that. So, all right. This will be recorded. I'll be putting this up on YouTube as well as Discord. Will have it in the next, I don't know, couple hours, maybe tomorrow. All right. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk later.